Alrighty, you're understanding what is the pattern of stalking with impossible light activity. The sun that is above us, not beside us. There is no trajectory of sunlight that will come from above us that's going to pierce through with a crack in the door. It's underneath a covered surface. This is just common sense. I'm just breaking down what is the demonic objective is to touch everything with engineered light. It's absolutely idiotic. What the entity does, it's entirely demonic. It's speaking to obsession, not intelligence. That obsession, it really precludes the ability to do what is stalking with an environment in any intelligent way. This is an obsessive endeavor of stalking with light, and it's absolutely impossible. The sun that is directly above us is not shooting light horizontally. All right, the sun that is above us would be shooting light at a downward trajectory, and it would not light activity in addition to what is a covered space right here. So you're talking about what is necessarily shooting at an angle through the doorway. Again, this is like you see on the third floor of my apartment. It's the pattern of conduct. It's impossible light activity, and that is engineered light. It's not sunlight. Not only is it speaking to what is literally taking on the form of the space that the engineered light takes on. That's what this engineered light does. It hits the window and it creates that very object. That's not sunlight. And it's also double shadows of that, or double, I want to say it's not a shadow. It's like creating a double image of it. You could see how there's two of them. There's one, and then the outer rim, this is creating two. That's engineered light. That's the pattern of conduct, though. I just want to be clear. This is the pattern of pointing light on the inside. There is no light that would occur on the inside of the office through the door. This is not sunlight. This is the pattern of the demonic objective to follow, pursue, and stalk with light. Demons do that. Demons. And like the Los Angeles Police Department continuously engages in the pattern. After I just so happen to engage in another piece of documentation who shows up? The Los Angeles Police Department. Demons that are watching every step of their exposure. They've already been exposed. They're watching every step of the process to the point to where they're in handcuffs and they're being removed and named specifically on the world scene. That's what they're watching, but they're not just watching it. They engage in what is ongoing, incriminating to themselves and to the people. Because when you're prosecuting federally, the entity that's acting engaged in the criminal conspiracy of federal group stalking and monitoring, the criminals, the partners that are holding hands, engaged in that conspiracy together, what the other does, so does the rest of the entity. It is incriminating literally the people of the state. That is how you are using that evidence, because that's what they're doing. It's federal group stalking and monitoring directly and vicariously through and via the people. So while you are documenting the people, it's not a coincidence that the entity wants to stalk by helicopter and engaged in what is a threat and intimidation and harassment and terrorism, because you happen to be documenting what's a pattern of conduct. It's a pattern that the entity engages in that conduct every time I seem to identify a third party, or every time I seem to identify what's impossible light activity and why is that light activity there. Because they're all engaging in the pattern of conduct. And then the Los Angeles Police Department shows up in helicopter. That's a pattern in and of itself. Recognize that. They are not protecting the people. They're incriminating the people by virtue of that pattern, period. But they are, legally speaking, not protecting them, because you're engaging in a criminal conspiracy with them. What the one criminal partner does, so does the other. And it's reasonably foreseeable. All right, where you want to conspire with a public entity that utilizes police departments to engage in that terrorism is going to be the result. So while that entity utilizes a corrupt law enforcement agency to threaten and terrorize an American citizen, the people of the state are going to be prosecuted while they're group stalking in the same exact environment, caught up in a criminal system with that government. They're going down together. And I'm documenting dozens of times every single day. The people of the state are going to be prosecuted for that, including those that are in the Inland Empire. It's not separate. I've already documented this state. So now I'm out here letting you know that there's no exception. So unless you thought there was an exception because I'm in LA, I'm letting you know there is no exception. And I'm showing you that exact same pattern of conduct. And I'm also documenting the whole same exact entity. It's the state. It's the state. The state is now acting via LAPD. LAPD is getting everybody in trouble, in other words. Everybody is getting in trouble. All right, it's currently 11:04 a.m. while I'm showing you what is impossible light activity. The prima facie case, by the way, of federal group stalking and monitoring. And you're also looking at it in the middle of the office through closed blinds. It's entirely demonic. It's impossible light activity. Impossible light activity. Okay, so this is supposed to be coming through the blinds onto the floor. Yeah, okay. And it's coming through the window, and then you have it moving through the crack. the crack in the door, right? I'm not laughing because criminal groups, federal group stalking and monitoring is funny. It's not. It's just so idiotic what this entity does, and literally all I had to do was put a microscope to it for the world to see. It has nothing to do with the natural environment or the sound of how the sun works. And you can even separate this again. Pay attention. If that was the sun that's over the roof of the Upland Public Library, and that's the whole sun that's over it, the whole object. It's not like part of it over the part of the roof, and it's not only over the roof through the visible through the window. It stayed there all day. I was there from open 10 a.m. until after closing 6 p.m. and the entity engaged in the same pattern, keeping it and setting it in alignment to the entrance of the library so that when I got on the bus on Euclid Avenue, the light source stayed in alignment with me through the window of the bus going back to Holt Boulevard, where the entity is rising the light source over me at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. There would never be any sun here whatsoever. Another explanation as to what is impossible light activity. This is already documented. The sun is not maintaining a universal presence in its centrality over everyone's head at the same time. And you also know that because it's nowhere near anywhere over this sky space. There's no sun over there. And from over there, you're not looking at the sun in the same position. That is not the case. This is the pattern of conduct that's maintaining a specific environment where presence is serving for a criminal system. And the presence in what is not possibly sunlight under what is not possibly the sun is a pattern of conduct where the state is also habitually stalking, terrorizing, harassing in that environment using corrupt law enforcement agencies. That's federal group stalking and monitoring. All right. It's currently, by the way, it's 11:06 a.m. And this is speaking to what is not possibly the sun over the Upland Public Library. Through the roof, the windows on the roof, and neither was that sunlight all over the grounds remaining on the inside of that library, moving all around just like you see inside of my apartment. That was the pattern of conduct that was underway, and they are going to be prosecuted. That's a state facilitating venue, and the entity was doing so at that venue, group stalking with the Upland Police, who would fly around circles around this light source over my head, just like the demons here at Los Angeles Police Department are doing. Already documented. This is the pattern of conduct. P.O.C.